I think we'll get started. Okay. Hello, and welcome to our January 14th virtual studio visit with David Lee Black. I am Erin Becker. I'm the Norma Jean Calderwood Director of the Cambridge Art Association. Before we get started, I just have a few bits of housekeeping. First, this session will be recorded and will be posted within the next 7 days on our YouTube channel. So if you do miss any part of it, or if you'd like to share it with a friend, it will be posted online and it will also be linked through our website. We do encourage you to use the chat function, which you'll see at the bottom of the screen, to let us know where you're joining us from, and also to share any comments you have with David as he tours his studio. At the end of the tour, there will be time for a Q&A. In order to ask a question, what we'll ask you to do, you'll see adjacent to the chat box, you'll see reactions. If you click on, it's a little smiley face with a plus sign. If you click on that, it'll open up a window with a raise hand function. When you raise your hand, a little hand will appear next to your name on the participant list. And Candace Bankeri, who is our program coordinator, will be moderating the chat. And during the Q&A, we will unmute you and you'll appear in a side-by-side screen like this and be able to ask your question of David. So with that, again, thank you for joining us, and I will hand things over to David Lee Black.
Thanks, Erin. Hello, everybody. This is my second Zoom experience of the entire pandemic, so I'm kind of proud of I didn't have anything, but we did the virtual opening for the Attention to Detail exhibit at Cambridge Art the other night, which enlightened me. It worked out really well. Erin did a great job, and the exhibit is superb. Which hopefully I'll get a chance to talk about that during this virtual tour. Let me start by taking you outside. Follow me, will you? All right. So this is a pre-Civil War shoe factory in downtown Natick, Mass. And it's a cool place. It used to be David Lang's, one of the most excellent artists I've ever known, best friend, partner in crime, used to be his shop. So we built this sign using the tools that he used, some of them. And come on in, shall we? And here we are. So it's the first floor, which is excellent for moving things, of this great mill with a brushed concrete floor, which is great for cleaning. Sometimes we'll just take a leaf blower and open a window and blow everything out, but it's a very special place to me, so I'm very proud to call it my working studio, along with a group of others that belong to the shop, including Christina Zwart, who's a Boston Sculpture Gallery artist. I'm going to show you one of her top secret projects here. Don't tell anybody. Statistically, boys make more sound effects than women, but we'll see how that goes. So I can't really tell you what it is yet, but it is going to be fantastic. So this makerspace is complete with all kinds of great tools. We have a 1930s engine on this, or motor on this table saw, which works really great. We have Gary Hallowell, who's a fine Brit artist who has his space here in one of David's old sculpture pieces. Let me see if I can get it complete. It's a 1951 Ford, I believe, the headlights, but he does music and all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm just going to kind of keep walking around. There's no shortage of things to look at, including stuff that's going to be art later. This is a very organized part of the studio. We actually label things. We have a nice tool here, nice saw, storage. This drill press is pretty handy. I'm just going to keep walking slowly, and then I'll start talking about some art. But often we have other artists come in or photographers and just kind of walk around with their camera because, like I said, there's no shortage of photogenic material. So part of the interior of the space is some of the collection of David Lang's work, which those of you who knew him and know him currently with his work, you can see a theme of wheels and motion and kinetic energy with these great wings. And this little piece here, I just love. He was a master wood carver as well. I don't know if you see the stiletto part of this crutch with the tiny little whip. He had a fun mind. So I'm in here a lot, especially during the pandemic, often alone, which is perfect. And we do a lot of, I'm a photographer primarily, but I do some sculpture, and it's a great place to create all those things. But if, I do a lot of portraiture work, which in the ceiling up here, if you see those rolls, those are drop down seamless screens that come right into the floor. One's black velvet and one's white. So we can do human form, figurative stuff. Also, we photograph sculpture and other artist work. If you need like a really great photo of your work, contact me. That's Rebecca Skinner, and is the other photographer here, and she's a member of Fountain Street. I think she currently has an exhibit there. She does abandoned spaces, and really great artist and wonderful, also a wonderful partner in crime. So we have the lighting back there, and I'll talk about that cube in a moment. Here's some of Rebecca's work. I'm just going to hopefully go slow. We have a little pop-up exhibit here, like at Open Studios once in a while. And we're very fortunate to have Lorraine Sullivan here for the last one with a couple of pieces. Her and Philip stopped by and we had a nice chat about art and life and death and all the contents in between. There's another piece of David's work. So for me coming in every day, or when I do come in, it's the smell. As soon as I first come in, you would think an old mill smells like, doggy poo, but it smells like history and inspiration and like an old familiar T-shirt you've had for years. It is just the best. So a multi-sensory experience when I come in is to see all of this great art, smell it, and just start letting time pass, which often it's hours and hours go by and it seems like a minute. This is a fun little piece. A lot of the work is in a state of repair. Let's see if I can get this happening. There we go. I'm going to flip around. This is one of David's pieces I just love. See if I can get it in there. It's called I Could Have Had a V8. And David Lang, I don't know if you could see, but there's 7 cylinders. And instead of V8 cans, they're Campbell's soup cans. And it's kinetic. When you walk past it, it comes to life. I believe, yeah, there we go. It's got some fire coming out of the mufflers. So often when I come in late at night, I'll forget I had a piece turned on and I walk past it because there's a sensor in the pedestal base. In this area, it's almost invisible, that senses when someone walks past, so it comes to life for 27 seconds and then turns itself off. Because if it's in a gallery, you don't want the batteries to die, but when it comes to light, it just scares the crap out of me. Even though I've seen them a million times, it just, it's always a fresh startle. Let me just walk over here to this giant cube. Very proud of this project. This is part of the Outside the Box project. And what it is, it's a cube on its point, 6-sided cube. And there's 6 different cubes. This is one. This particular one's called Poised on Point. And I'm going to get back so you can see it a little more clearly. But it's a very playful image of how we see most everything as the human experience. Let me get back a little. usually see somebody or something. Let's see, there we go. From the front, right, left, top. Wait a minute. Sherwood Forest is calling. My phone is doing an alert sound. So front, left, right, back, top if you're up on a balcony, but rarely from the bottom. So here's the bottom. It's the same, these models held the same pose in all 6 perspective sides of this thing. But to get the bottom one, this one, here we go. We constructed a glass floor in an 18th century Vermont barn in Bellows Falls. And I shot up through the bottom. And we actually had a plexiglass part as part of the glass. So, the engineer said that it would hold 600 pounds. And since I was laying underneath with my camera straight up, I was hoping they were correct. And I'm alive today. And so it worked out great. And we still have that glass floor. I can't wait to use it for another project. But this cube, like I said, is part of 6 different series of what's outside the box. And again, it's delicately on its point. And I love it. It's 41 by 41 inch panels. Each panel comes off. They're magnetically attached to this Nelson frame. So you can pop them off and they're wired to hang 2D on the wall. So in a gallery situation, the 3D work would be on the floor that people can walk around and see, interact with it this way. And then if they look up on the wall somewhere instead of my face, you can see, here's one panel from another cube. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. It's part of the die cube. There we go. Number 4 of a die. And since a die is 6-sided, we use the black hats as the pins for the dots. And I shot in the same Vermont barn, hanging from the rafters above. And we put the models on a white sheet. And I thought it worked out really great. So hopefully we'll see that around soon. Let's go over here. I told Aaron I wouldn't do this, but I have to do this just so you get the visual in the studio. This piece is going. Oh, there's a convenient ladder here. Ta-da. This is going to the Marblehead Art Association for a show, and it's called For Reasons I Cannot Explain, which is an apt title for it. This was taken in an abandoned convent in Innistimon, Ireland, and I'm standing in the kitchens of the convent, staring straight up through the sky. And this group of crows, which I later found out were called jackdaws, a specific crow, were flying in a circle, and the jackdaw crow I was researching what it is. It's a kind of a Celtic messenger in a way, a foreboding sense of some meaning, not always a bad omen, but it's just something may happen. And they're also one of the closest animals to the human in terms of eyesight, on how their brain works with their eyes. They'll plot out, they'll see a shiny ring that you leave on a rock wall somewhere, and they'll wait for you to go, and they'll plot out and create a distraction and come and grab it, and very, very kind of conniving that way. But it's interesting for reasons I cannot explain, which is kind of like, I don't know what, like most art, we think it means as artists one thing one day, and then tomorrow it can mean something quite different. So often I don't tell too much about it, but I thought the story is cool because as I was standing in this convent with David Lang in Ireland, he was collecting some stuff in another part of the building, and I looked down on the floor. Let's see if I can walk over here. And I was rummaging around for just to see if I can find something. I did find the key to the convent, but I did find this, the contents of this piece, which, let's see if you could see it. it's a kinetic piece, but can't turn it on and hold the computer. Oh, steady. There it is. It's called This Is My Body. And what it is are the baking tins from the floor that I was standing on that the nuns used to bake goods for the village of Ennistimon in Ireland for celebrations, weddings, birthdays, funerals. And so I kind of gathered them up, and there's some heart shape. I just thought they were real precious. And I also, found the crucifix, which David Lang kind of helped me fix because it was in a state of disrepair. Oh, and here is the key to the kingdom, to the convent, which I liberated from that abandoned space. Okay. Let's walk back here, shall we? This is this is our chill space here at the studio. When I have photography clients or we just want to relax and talk about art, we'll sit in this reclaimed furniture that someone was throwing out. So we grabbed it, and it's kind of nice. We have a lava lamp, which is always good to have in a studio. But the best part is we have a glimpse of this piece of David Lang's called Journey. And hopefully I'm going to kind of walk over here and not trip into anything. This was, in a lot of people's opinion, his masterpiece. Little guy pedaling through the cosmos forward in a journey. Everything's hand soldered. And up here are wings with projections on the underside of the wings. And I later discovered that some of the projections are jackdaw crows from the same area, Ennistimon in Ireland, that for reasons I cannot explain, which I just showed you where it is from. How am I doing, Aaron? Is this too fast moving around? Good. All right. So yeah, I have a show, a couple things happening. I'll later we can talk about the exhibits that are around, but a lot of the work is fortunately out in the world right now. But we have some wall space where things live, little photos, little bits of found objects like this root. Let's see. Let's walk to this part of the studio, shall we? Here's some, these are yet to be formed into something, but these are pipes from a pipe organ, and they look like torpedoes, but they may be something. Sometimes we get political in art.
David, do you want to take some questions?
I would love to take some questions,
Right.
but stop talking. Yes, fire away.
Do we have any question? If you have a question for David, please raise your hand and I can kind of direct you to him. David, I have a question for you. How long have you been working in this space for?
It's a good question. I'm always, time is a blur. I was apprenticing in a way with David Lang. I was a juvenile parole officer for a number of years. And David and I met at a show that he had some work at in Watertown. And we were kind of talking about art and life. And he goes, "Hey, do you like Ireland?" I go, "I've never been." He goes, "What, you want to go?" "Yeah, I would. I would very much like to go." So off I went. And it was at the end of my career working for the Commonwealth. And I was, being a juvenile parole officer has its negativity, as you can well imagine. And I was just about ready to call it quits, but David encouraged me to literally call it quits and jump into art full time. So I did. So that's been about 9 or 10 years ago, maybe.
Right. And has does your background in being a parole officer come out in your work?
No, it was, well, yes, of course. It's a job where I deal with people and the human condition, the families, the kids, the facilities, the bureaucratic nightmare that I was working for, and everyone's struggling. Everyone, we all do, but especially in that business. So it kind of taught me patience, empathy, and to definitely have a healthy outlook, healthy hobby, because that's what really got me through, was having my degree is actually in music education. So like a lot of people, we don't always end up where we think we're going to end up.
Great. That makes a lot of sense. We have a question from Rebecca McGee Tech, who was our last virtual studio visit.
Hi, Rebecca.
Rebecca, I'm going to put you on the spot and let you
Sure.
ask your question.
I wanted to know, hi, how are you? I live in Natick, so I'm excited to
Oh,
see.
you should stop by sometime.
I would love to. I wanted to know where you're going to be showing the cube. I'm really interested in seeing it.
Okay, that's a good question. I think currently I have an exhibition drop down on my website, but the cube, we're looking at a couple different places. I can't really say yet because they haven't accepted it,
Yeah.
but it has been around. We've my collaborator Matthew Peak, who's pretty much he's a wonderful Vermont figurative painter. Also, we met at Galatea, so he lives in Bellows Falls, Vermont. So we've exhibited out in that area quite a bit, upstate New York, in the Berkshires, and that sort of thing. But if you stop by here in Natick, I can definitely give you the tour of this one, Posed on Point.
Yeah, I was just excited to see it because I just recently made a sculpture that is a cube, and I was like, I don't know, it was just fun to see your cube.
It's 8 feet tall, so it's we have to find galleries that can accommodate it. And there's 6 of the cubes, so if we can find a big space and feature it sometime, that would be ideal, because it's quite impressive, I think. Of course, I'm biased. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Anyone else? So I do a lot of ballet photography with the different ballet companies. The Island Moving Company from Newport, and one of the one of the bennies is they throw, most ballet dancers throw out their dead point shoes. You know, they're disgusting or whatever. After a while they get, kind of yucky on the inside, but I love them. Just the storytelling, everything about it, artistic wise, especially in the right light. So this is something in progress, using a pile of them. I'm thinking about a wing, a giant wing made of these, because they do have a feather-like quality. So it's usually something lays out here, is piled around, and then over time it forms itself, hopefully.
Actually, I have a question for you, David. It's Erin. Since you share the studio space with several other artists, do you all ever collaborate with each other in any ways?
Yes, especially with photography. Rebecca and we've done the pop-up shows here together, and we collaborate in more of a spiritual sense, in terms of, especially during the pandemic when we weren't able to do much, but we would, we connect with each other, call, text, how you doing? I have this idea. Or how's your family? How's life? And that way we collaborate, I think, in an even more important way than producing art. It's become like a family, or even more than a family in a way.
Cool. A support group.
Yes, exactly.
The family that you choose.
That's right. Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep.
And Rebecca McGee Tech wanted to let you know that she also has a huge collection of Irish step shoes, hard and
great.
soft. If you ever want to
Well,
them.
we have a lot of, I have a sculpture piece that Lorraine knows about called Silently and Light of Foot, with the point shoes. But in this sense, this is a shoe factory. We found some really great shoe forms here. Here you can see where they would stretch the leather over and let it dry. These are kind of cool. So we kept them. There's a lady across the street, elderly lady, who she was very shy coming out her door, She's always curious on what's going on over here. But I caught her ear one time and she was like, my grandmother used to work there. My mother and my father and I worked in that old shoe factory. And I used to come home from school and my grandma would wave at me from the window where your photography stuff is now. So I said, come here, I got something for you. So I gave her a pair of these shoe forms and she was tickled.
Cool. And we have a question from Iman. I guess Iman, if you want me to ask it, that's fine too. She said,
Hey, Iman.
did you all know each other? I guess, or did you choose to work in the same space?
We carefully curated our little family because sharing a space like this and walking in to something like this and not freaking out because they're all over the place takes a very special kind of person. So it's not open to it's not like, oh, anybody can, be a part. We kind of have to, it has the right chill vibe, be able to tolerate, borrowing things and, shared space, kind of like your first college roommate situation with 10 roommates or whatever, but there's only like 6 of us here actively. So.
Thank you.
Iman, did you want to ask anything else?
No, that's good.
All right. Well, I think that's kind of it. But thank you so much, David. This was really
Thank you.
this is a beautiful space to work in.
Yeah, if you're ever in Natick, my contact information is, I think, going to appear somewhere here at the end of this. And you could send an email. Oh, there we go. Poof. Definitely say hi on Instagram, Facebook. I'm there sometimes, but the website has the exhibition schedule, including the current one at Cambridge Art with Lorraine and several great artists. Just check it out. I'm going to be stopping by later next week, I think, but it's attention to detail and it's a must see. 6 people allowed in the gallery at a time. I think there's also a virtual thing online, but definitely check it out.
Great. Thank you, David.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you, David. And you can visit Attention to Detail at the Catherine Schultz Gallery. We're open Tuesday through Friday, noon until 4. And if you visit our Instagram, which is at Cambridge Art, and go to our IGTV, you can see a gallery tour of that exhibit. And sometime this week, when your resident video editor gets the reception video edited, that will also be on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to listen to talks from David and the other exhibiting artists. But with that, thank you for joining us today. As I mentioned at the top of the event, this was recorded, so it will be on our YouTube channel, along with all of our other virtual studio visits. We visited, I think, with close to 20 artists now during the pandemic. And if you yourself are interested in hosting a visit, or if you have an artist you'd like to nominate, just please let us know. Until then, take care, everybody.